Okay, so we're working on our Samsung SmartThings Arduino LED strip here, and we've already got everything plugged in. We've got our Arduino, our Samsung SmartThings shield, and our relay shield, which of course is optional. We've got that all wired up along with our LED strips. In this project I'm currently using 3. I may expand that to a few more. But the first thing we need to do now that we've got that all hooked up is go ahead and plug in your Arduino to the USB port on your computer. Open your Arduino IDE, which is here. And since we already have all the libraries installed for both the LED strips and the Arduino SmartThings shield, what we want to do is we want to upload a basic SmartThings sketch. So we're going to come over here to our library that is SmartThings, and we're going to click on this SmartThings LED, and you see it gives you a little pin out of the Arduino. You see it's using a pin 13 for the LED pin, which is basic, and it's using pin 2 and 3 for the communication with the SmartThings shield. Excuse me. This is where it defines the pins. This is some debug information, and for SmartThing messages here. Here's the local functions. You're on, you're off. And you can say digital right pin, LED high. We can get into all this stuff a little bit later. And then there's your setup. So it starts with the LED pin off. And then here's some information that sends the strings back to SmartThings here. And here's more messages that it'll send back to SmartThings. So we want to go ahead and upload this. Again, you'll want to select your port. Mine's not currently plugged in because I already have code on my Arduino. But we want to go ahead and select your port, make sure your board's correct, and then upload it. You really need to have an Arduino Uno or an Arduino Mega. I'm currently using Arduino Uno R3. I've got quite a few of these from when Radio Shack was going out of business in this area. And then you'll go ahead and upload that. Once you're done with that, we need to try and connect to the SmartThings shield through the SmartThings app, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Okay. Now that we've got the code uploaded to our SmartThings shield, or to our Arduino Uno with the SmartThings shield, we need to go in and we need to add it. So we're going to go to My Home in the app, in the SmartThings app. We're going to go to Things. We're going to click this little plus button here. And I apologize, my phone is a little blurry, but we're going to add a thing. And we can click this Start Looking for Things here, or we can actually go into Other and click this SmartThings shield, and we say Connect Now. Now it's looking for things, and it should find it. If not, there's a button on the SmartThings shield that you can press, and it found it. So we say Tap to Configure. We want to rename this, and for me this is for the classroom. Oops. Okay, select a room. We're going to put this in the office. We say Done. Now you can add smart apps here if you want to. I'm not going to right now. We'll add smart apps later. So we'll say Done. And we go to Rooms. We're going to go to Office. Now you see, here's the class LED strip, and all it says is Arduino. There's no functionality on it whatsoever. So what we have to do is we have to go back into SmartThings through the web interface, graph.api.smartthings.com if I'm not mistaken, and we need to change this around a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come back in just a second. Now that we have uploaded our sketch, added the Arduino and the SmartThings shield to our SmartThings hub, we need to go in and we need to do some editing in the SmartThings web interface, which we'll open here. It's graph.api.smartthings.com is what it'll load to, and you'll log in with the same login ID you logged in with your SmartThings app on your phone or tablet. So what we need to do here is we need to go to My Devices, and you can see there's our class LED strip, which says it's an Arduino ThingShield. Now if you want to test it and play around with it and make sure everything's working at this point, you can go into My Device Handlers. You can see I already have a device handler here, but let's add a new device handler. Okay, we're going to choose From Template. I'm going to scroll down here. There it is, On-Off Shield. We'll click that. Scroll back up, and here's our On-Off Shield. Now, I don't like editing in this web interface, so I use Notepad++ with some modifications to do some groovy syntax highlighting. It doesn't do everything, but mainly it does comments. But see, this is the code for the basic On-Off Shield. So I'm going to change some information here. We're going to call this Test On-Off. We're going to change the namespace. Okay. Author is Gun Geek. We're not really going to make a bunch of changes right now, but that'll help us later when we go to copy this over. So we can hit Create, and we want to save it. And then we want to publish it for me, and we'll get into how all this stuff works in a minute. So now if we go back to My Devices and we click our LED strip, we click Edit, and then here's the type right here. So there's our test On-Off, so we can change it to the device type we just made and hit Update. Now if we go back over to the SmartThings app, it'll look a little bit different, and we'll do that right now. So now, again, if we go into our class LED strip, you'll see it's got an on-off button there instead of just the Arduino symbol. We can click on, and normally this would just turn on your pin 13 or your blue light on the SmartThings shield. I have still some lighting hooked up to it and some different code on my Arduino, so it's doing something a little bit different. So we click off, on, off, and you can hear some of my relays clicking in the background. But that's the gist of setting up the first SmartThings app for the LED strip. Now we've got to do some modifications to both our Arduino code and our SmartThings code. So we'll get back over to that. Now that you see how that all works, we're going to go in and we're going to create a new device type. This time you're going to have some different options. Again, I generally like to use a different editor for it, but we're going to go into My Device Handlers again. We're going to create a new device handler, and we can do it from template and you can add it in, or you can do it from code. Now if we chose from template and we went back to the on-off shield, and this is how I started mine, and we're going to copy and paste some of that later, but I copied all of this and I came over to my Notepad++ and I pasted it, and then I began changing from there. So in this simpler format here, In the simpler one, we're going to explain what some of this stuff does. Of course, this defines what the name of your Arduino is, or the device. They usually recommend this be the same as your GitHub username, and then your name can go here. Well, what are its capabilities? It's an actuator, it's a switch, and it's a sensor. This area controls simulations that you can do through your graph.api SmartThings. If we went back into, and I'm just going to back out of that and I go back into my on-off shield. Here's your simulator. So we say set location. We can use a virtual device. You can install it and you can do that. I don't really get into messing with the simulator. I just test it live. So we're going to close that. We're going to go back to my device handlers. We're going to create a new device handler. And you can get into messing with some of this some more, but here's the UI tile definitions. So this is your tiles. This is the on-off button that shows up in the SmartThings app. So it's a standard tile with a name of switch, and it's a device switch, how big you want it to be, whether you can change the icon or not, and whether you can change the background. So here's your state: on, label is switch, and then action, switch off. So the icon by default is here, and your background color, which is green, and then your state for off, the label, the action, the switch, and then switch off is white. Here's a main, switch, and detail switch. Both of these are needed there to define all the different tiles that are going to go in here. This section sends a string. Okay, you see it sends the string to the Zigbee, what it is, on, off, null, create event, name, value, parse, return result. So it sends a string and returns the result of that string. And these are the commands that are actually sent to the Arduino, to the SmartThings shield, and back to the Arduino. I did a whole lot more than this. So what we need to do, I already saved it here. It should be the right one. Pretty sure. So again, we changed it some. GunGeek LED strip. We're going to change this to a 2 here. There's our namespace, GunGeek. Capability actuator, switch level. This is for later use. I haven't finished that part yet. The capability sensor. Here's an attribute for white state. That's to log and track the brightness of our white. And here's a bunch of different commands that we added: blue, pink, red, green, orange, yellow, purple, sky blue, rainbow, and the different whites. And these are the commands that we're going to send over to the Arduino in order to change the state of our LED strips. Again, I didn't really mess with the simulator at all. I just left that as a basic on-off. Now we get into our standard tile definitions, and you see we still have the standard tile here, right? So there's our standard tile switch on-off, so that one's the same. Our standard tile blue, height 1, width 1. Our state is blue, our label is blue, our action is blue, and there's our background color and everything right there. And we did the same thing for all the different colors. The only difference is our standard tile white has a state, which is 1, and then our next state is 2. And we get into programming what all these colors mean in the Arduino sketch. But so the main is a switch, and our details are switch, blue, pink, red, green, orange, yellow, purple, sky blue, rainbow, and white. So that controls all of our different tiles that are going to be available in the SmartThings app. So parse incoming device messages to generate events. Again, we didn't mess with this very much. We left this as our default on and off that's being sent back to SmartThings. And then we added our commands for blue, pink, red, all these other ones down here, and then we've got our white 1, white 2, white 3, white 4. So you basically copy this, change the name here, and change the name here, and that sets up your next command. Now we want to copy this whole thing, okay, and we go back to our adding a new device handler. And if you're copying my code verbatim, of course, you can go in here, you can click the From Code button, and you can paste it. And that's everything there. You can change this information if you want. Here. And then we just click Create. Uh-oh. I missed something in my copy, so you gotta watch that. There we go. I missed all the way to the top, so we gotta copy that. Control A. We're gonna delete all that, and we're gonna paste it again. We're gonna create. So now, again, we created it. We're gonna save it, and then we're gonna publish it for me. And you see all the different syntax highlighting here. Gives you a little bit of a better idea what it is. But then we're going to run back to My Devices. We're going to go to our LED strip. It's no longer a test on and off. Now it's an actual LED control. So we're going to go, you see Gun Geek LED strip 2. We're going to update that. Now we can go back to our app, which we'll do right now. So we reopen our app, and you can see there's all these different colors in here now. But we haven't done anything with Arduino, so this really isn't going to do much. We're going to be able to do on and off, which will turn on your pin 13 as of right now. Now we're going to go back over and we're going to change some of the Arduino code so that all these colors will actually work. Now that you've seen that portion, let's jump over here back to our Arduino code, and we're going to jump over to the one I already created. This should be it here. Okay, you see we changed some things here. We left this one as the LED pin, and you've got your strip A, B, and C connected to 12, 11, and 10 respectively. And then you've got your relay pin, which is for our relay shield, which uses 7, 6, 5, and 4. And then of course our SmartThings uses 3 and 2, so it all works out pretty well. Now we need to include a different library in here because we're using the LED strip. And this is the Pololu, or however you pronounce that, LED strip library. So we need to make sure we include that. Okay, we need to define our LED strips, number 12, 11, and 10. LED strip B and C. We define our relay pins. We create a buffer for holding the 10 colors. I'm using the Radio Shack LED strips, which actually have 30 LEDs, but they're divided into sections of 3. So really I only have 10 different strings that I can control in one strip. So that's what this is. This is the count of how many you can actually control. If you get your LED strips from somewhere else that they're each individually addressable, you can change this accordingly. Here's all of our SmartThings stuff that was there before. We've got some debug stuff. And here's where we get into changing our controls. You see, this is the old on for the basic one. This is our new on for the LED strip. So here's our state LED, our digital write pin LED, we turn it on. Digital write our relay pin 1, 2, and 3 to high. We built in a delay here of 1 second, and then we set our RGB color. 255, 255, 255 is the brightest white you can do on the LED strip. Now we want to write that color, LED strip write those colors for the LED count. So we write all of that color above to strip A, B, and C. We also write our LED pin to on as well. And then we send the information back to SmartThings saying that it's on. Same thing with off, except for we change our color to zeros, which is off for the LED strip. And then we change our relay pins to low and our SmartThing to 0. Then we send off. Now our blue. Again, I'm using the Radio Shack LED strip, so the colors are a little messed up. Normally you use RGB. The Radio Shack LED strip uses GBR. So we kind of have to play around with that a little bit to get everything right. Yeah, I could write something that reverses it, but sometimes right now it's just easier to put it the way I need it. So you see our blue is calling green 255. That really does come out blue. So we update the color buffer for each item in the LED count, each of the 10 colors. Now we write the color for the LED count. Same thing, and we send on. I'm not sending blue right now. I don't need to track what colors are done when at this point. You can if you want to write the rest of that code, but I didn't. Same thing for pink, red, green. We just change the value of these to get the right color. Orange, yellow, purple, sky blue, and then here's the rainbow. This one's a little bit different. We do the same thing. We change our state of the LED. We write our pins to high. Now, instead of scrolling through and doing a for loop on each of the 10 writable sections or addressable sections of the LED strip, we're doing them individually. So on 0, we make this pure white, and then you go through and assign each of the sections its own color. And then we write that back out to the strips, same as we did before. This one we're actually sending rainbow, but it doesn't do anything right now. White's a little bit different as well. We've got a white 1 at full brightness. We've got a white 2 at not as bright. 3 even dimmer, and 4 is really dim. We go back into our API functions here, our setup. Basically everything's the same. We've got to set our pin mode here for our relay pin 1, 2, 3, and 4. We set all of those to outputs and set their initial value to low. So nothing is on when the Arduino first starts up. Same thing here. We set all of our colors to off, and we write that back out to the LED strips. And then of course we've got our serial communication. The only thing in our loop is this run SmartThings. And then here's our call out back to SmartThings. We're printing what's sent back. And then here's our if, else if for all the different commands. So if it's on, do on, else if it's off, do off, blue, blue, pink, pink, so on and so forth. Okay? So white 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we have this all done, we upload this back to the Arduino, and everything should be working properly. Put this back up here. Now that we've got everything coded, our new code's uploaded to the Arduino, our device handler and SmartThings is all correct. Now we can go ahead. You see I've got one of the LED strips here. There's actually 3 connected. There's another one here, and there's another one on the other side. So we're going to click on. You can actually hear my relays click, and then the camera takes a minute to focus. You see that's full bright white when we originally clicked on. And we can scroll through different colors here. We can hit our blue, and here's our blue, and then pink, and then red, green, orange, yellow, purple, sky blue, and there's our rainbow. I actually had a power surge there, so that's why that stopped working. But again, we got all the way down to rainbow. And see, it's running all different colors. And then we can do our white. So it starts out the brightest. Dimmer, dimmer, and dimmer still. And then full back white. 2. And we can shut them off. That's strange. So we can hit any one of these and it'll turn it on as well. And it will actually send the on signal back to there so it changes by itself. And that's it. That's all we've got for programming this one.